Alright, so today we're going to be talking about what exactly the mean, mode, median, and range of a set of data really is. This is very important to know for a wide variety of classes. Most of the time you'll first be familiar with these words after around 6th grade. So if I were you, I'd try my best to make sure I understand what these four words exactly mean. So first we're going to start off by saying that all of these ways are to describe a data set. I can be describing any data set using any of these four terms we have here, and each of them have their own definition. So I'm actually going to start off with what I think is the simplest to understand, and that is the mode, the second one right here. So the mode is another way of just saying which number appears the most frequently in a set of data. Which number appears the most. And actually in this data set right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, we don't have a mode. And that's because every number appears an equal number of times. So I see the number 1 once in this set, I see the number 4 once, I see the number 6 once, etc. So that means there is no mode in the sets. Cool. Now, just so you understand, let's say if I added in the number 5, right? Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5. Now the mode of the data sets is 5 because 5 appears twice, and no other number appears at least twice in this set. Therefore, that makes that number the mode. But obviously we didn't have that at first, so we're going to get rid of it, and we still have no mode right here. Next, we're going to talk about what the median is. So the median is the number in the middle of the sequence. So in order to find this, you actually need to know what the mean is. So actually, I'm going to go back to talking about the mean. So the mean is the average of the numbers in the sets. So what that basically means, it's pretty difficult to explain what exactly an average is, but it's basically saying what number is closest to all of the other numbers in these sets. Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. So the way you find the mean is by adding this or finding the sum of all the terms in this set and then dividing by the number of terms. So let me just write that out. Sum of numbers divided by number of numbers. So let's do that here. So the sum over here would be 1 plus 2, which is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15, and plus 6 is 21. So that is a sum of the numbers. Now let's count the number of numbers we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we have 6 numbers in this set. And right here we have the mean. Now obviously this isn't a whole number. Sometimes your mean will be a whole number, sometimes it'll just be a rational number. Either way, we can simplify this to 7 over 2, and that is your mean. Now we're going to go back to median. And the reason why I said that we need to understand what mean is in order to understand what median is sometimes, we'll see it in this example. So the median of a data set is a number that is in the middle of the data sets. Now, one thing I need to make sure you don't get confused, if our data set was like this, for example, as you can see here, these numbers are not in sequential order. They're not decreasing consecutively, because here we're minus 2, minus 1, plus 2, minus 3, minus 1. So they're not consecutive numbers. In order to find the median, we first need to make sure that our numbers are in numerical order. So if they're not like they are here, we have to reorder them so that they're in that order. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is what we have right at the top here. Now, to find the median, we need to find the number in the middle. So one way to go about this is by just crossing out numbers on each side of the set until you're left with the number in the middle. So we're going to do this right now. We're going to do it in yellow. So cross this out, that's 1, cross 6 out, cross 2 out, cross 5 out, cross 3 out, cross 4 out. That's weird. We don't have a number in the middle. And this will happen every time you have an even number of numbers in your sets. And what you basically have to do is just find the average between the two numbers closest to the center. Find the mean of the numbers closest to the center. So, for example, what you would do here is we see that 3 and 4 are closest to the center. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 3 plus 4, once again finding the sum of the numbers to find the mean. And then I'm going to divide by the number of numbers, which is 2, because this is our first number and this is our second number. So that is equal to 7 over 2, and this we can actually write out very easily as 3.5. So 3.5 is our median. Now, sometimes you also have an odd number of numbers, in which case it's a lot easier. For example, if I just had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all you would have to do is just cross out a number on each side until you're left with the middle number, which is 3. Once again, you start off in sequential order. And last but not least, we have range. Range is very easy as long as you have your numbers in sequential order. If you don't, it's still pretty easy, but it might be easier to rearrange them. So this is just the difference between the greatest number and least. Actually, what I might do is I might just say the greatest and least numbers, or the highest and lowest numbers. I'm not sure if this English is even proper, but you get the idea. The difference between the highest and lowest numbers. So in our original data set, let's go back again. We're going to do it in brown this time. So the greatest number is 6, and the lowest number is 1. So the range is 5, just like that. Now, the reason why I said that you might maybe sometimes want to have it in sequential order is because, for example, if we have a data set jumbled up like this, it might be a little hard to find which number is the greatest and which number is the least, but nonetheless, it should be pretty easy. And yeah, that is the mean, mode, median, and range of a data set. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you.